There's a strange kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from overworking yourself or doing too much. It comes from trying to do right without ever being told what right is. It's the weight of unspoken expectations that no one ever voiced, but somehow you feel responsible for meeting them. And the most confusing part is that no one ever asked you to. Today, we're unpacking the weight of unspoken expectations, where they come from, how they shape your inner world, and how to finally free yourself from living by an invisible rulebook that you never agreed to. Unspoken expectations don't arrive loudly, they don't announce themselves. They leak into the room silently, and you will notice them by tone of voice, silence, raised eyebrows, subtle disappointment, withholding praise. So you learn quickly that love is tied to performance, approval is conditional, and safety depends on getting things right. And so you start listening to what isn't said. You begin to notice who gets ignored, who gets praised, what causes tension, who gets rewarded. And without realizing it, you become so fluent at reading the room, but not necessarily in reading yourself. And this creates anxiety, a low-level anxiety that you could never switch off. You learn to live with it. Living this way also creates resentment, the kind of resentment that you feel guilty for having. You have this constant sense of missing something, but you don't know what it is. You are constantly adjusting your volume, adjusting your personality, adjusting your desires. Not because anyone asked you to, but because you learned that being fully yourself is risky. Unspoken expectations survive because they are inherited and not examined. And they are culturally reinforced. And they reward compliance, not honesty. And often they benefit the system more than the individual. Where do these unspoken expectations come from? Because we need to name the sources. Where is this rule book or invisible rules? Firstly, it's family legacies. Every family has rules that were never written down. It's things like don't embarrass the family. Be grateful but not demanding. Success looks like this and not that. No one explains them, but you absorb them. And eventually, you mistaken conditioning for character. Relationship blueprints, invisible blueprints. In relationships, unspoken expectations sound like, you should just know that. If you loved me, you would do 1, 2, 3. If I have to explain it, then it doesn't count. These beliefs create emotional guessing games, and needs go unmet, not because you don't care, but because nobody had the audacity to say the quiet parts out loud. The third source is societal scripts. Society is constantly whispering. By this age, you should have done this. Your body should look like this. Your life should follow this path. And if your path deviates from that, the pressure isn't always external. The pressure is internalized by you. Then you start policing yourself. The impact on your inner world. This leads to self-betrayal, first of all, because over time, unspoken expectations teach you to override your instincts, to silence your preferences, to choose what is acceptable over what is authentic. You don't just abandon yourself all at once. You do it in small, reasonable ways until one day you don't recognize the life that you're maintaining. Burnout and exhaustion. Burnout isn't always about physical work or workload. It's also about emotional vigilance. You are constantly scanning, overthinking, and the pressure to not disappoint people who never clarified their needs. It's exhausting to live in anticipation. Living like this also leads to lost opportunities because you might say no to things that you do want and you delay the choices that matter, not because you lack courage, but because deviating from this unspoken script feels like betrayal. Breaking the silence. Now let's talk about strategies for acknowledgement. So the first step is to start with self-reflection. Turn the mirror inwards because this is where your power returns to you. Ask yourself this: what expectations am I assuming others have of me? Where did I learn them? Are they real or are they inherited? And then gently but honestly ask yourself, what expectations do I place on others? Because awareness dissolves the unconscious pressure, the power of direct communication. Clarity feels uncomfortable at first, especially if you were rewarded for being easy or easygoing. So respectful communication sounds like this: here's what I need. Here's what I can offer. Here's what I can't sustain. Boundaries aren't rejection. They are information. Lastly, you need to set realistic expectations. Not every expectation deserves obedience. Some of these expectations are just aspirations. Some are projections. Some are outdated. And you get to choose which one shapes your life. Living with intentional freedom. This is the work of unlearning. Firstly, you need to embrace imperfection. You don't need to be perfectly aligned. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You don't need to constantly be impressive. You are allowed to disappoint expectations that were never yours. Cultivating self-compassion. You need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for staying silent when you didn't know how to speak up. Forgive yourself for trying to earn safety through performance, and for confusing compliance with love. You did what you knew how to do at the time. Stop blaming yourself for not knowing what to do. Finally, you need to build a support system. How do you build a support system? You need to choose people. Choose people who value presence over performance. People who ask instead of assume. People who welcome honesty over harmony. Because freedom multiplies in safe spaces. Unspoken expectations lose power the moment they are named. You are not here to live by invisible rules. You are here to live intentionally. And the more honest you become with yourself, and others, the lighter life begins to feel. Not because the unspoken expectations disappear, but because you are now in control of choosing which ones matter.